You're awake. No noise, no messages, no alarms, no calls, no plans. Just you. All the kind of silence that says more than words ever could. It feels off, unnatural, too quiet. Then it creeps in, not loneliness, but something heavier. The fear that silence equals defeat. So, what do? You grab your phone, you text her, you scroll endlessly. Because silence feels like proof that you're no longer relevant. We've been wired to believe that if we're not being seen, messaged, or wanted, we're failing. If she's not calling, if the group chat is dry, then maybe we don't matter anymore. But what if silence isn't your enemy? What if it's the only ally honest enough to tell you the truth? The world told you solitude was dangerous, that being alone meant being forgotten. But no one ever talks about the flip side, that the man who chooses isolation isn't weak. He's just no longer afraid of himself. Because when you stop performing and finally stand still, something changes. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that weren't built for you. You stop playing the fool just to get picked. You begin to see that there's strength in stillness, power in walking alone, freedom in not needing the crowd to clap before you move. This message isn't for the man who still wants approval. It's for the man who's ready to rebuild from the inside out. Because when a man walks away from distraction, from noise, from needing to be wanted, he becomes unstoppable. Not because he's loud, but because he no longer doubts his own voice. This isn't escape, this is evolution. And here's the part most men never reach. When you finally stop chasing every woman, every friendship, every shallow high, and just sit with yourself, that's when the real work begins. You start seeing clearly. You stop settling. And the moment you stop begging for the world's attention, the world starts to pay attention. Stick with me, because what comes next might sting a little, but it's the kind of sting that wakes you up. Now, let's break it down. Here are the 3 things silence will expose about you, starting with the hardest one to face. Number 1. Silence. The arena where men are made. You're sitting alone. No noise, no distractions, just you and the full weight of your own mind. Most men don't fear isolation. They fear the confrontation that silence brings, not boredom, not even loneliness, the truth. Silence doesn't flatter, it doesn't numb, it doesn't sugarcoat, it confronts, it exposes. Every regret you buried, every excuse you clung to, every version of yourself you promised to become, then abandoned in the dark. That girl who left, she's here. That dream you didn't chase, it's here. That man you once swore to become, still waiting. And now, no texts, no calls, no performance. You're left face to face with the one person you've avoided most, you. This is the battleground, where some men break and others awaken. Because silence doesn't just reveal who you are, it reminds you of who you could have been. And that truth, it cuts deep, so you run. To her, to them, to noise, to anything that mutes the voice whispering, "Is this all you really are?" But what if you didn't run this time? What if, for once, you let silence take over? Here's what happens. At first, it aches, like setting a dislocated joint, like tearing off a mask you forgot you were wearing. Voices start screaming, "You're not enough, you never were." But then, something changes. You begin to realize those voices, they were never yours. They're echoes of every time you chose validation over truth. And the second you stop running, when you sit with the fire and face it down, that's when you meet him. The man you were before the world told you who to be. And that man, he doesn't chase attention. He commands presence. Number 2, approval, withdrawal. Kill the craving before it kills you. Let's be real. You're hooked, not on substances, but on approval. You check your phone like a gambler pulling a lever, waiting for that tiny dopamine hit. Someone saw me. And just like any addict, you'll do anything to avoid the crash, laugh at empty jokes, agree with fake opinions, chase women who don't respect you, just to feel wanted. But here's the harsh truth. The more you crave them, the less they want you. Neediness? It repels, and no amount of charm, money, or success can cover it up. So what's the cure? You starve the addiction. You stop chasing. You stop initiating. You stop auctioning off your self-worth for crumbs of attention. And at first, it stings. You'll feel invisible, erased. Good. That's the mask falling away. Because the truth is, you weren't seen before. You were used. But when you stop performing, when you stop needing their applause, something shifts. Your voice deepens. Your spine straightens. Your eyes say, "I don't need permission." And suddenly, they notice. Not because you got louder, but because you got still. Not because you begged, but because you chose. Here's the paradox. The less you care about being liked, the more magnetic you become. Number 3, solitude, where weak disappear and the real ones rise. There's a rare moment, quiet, raw, when the world goes still. No buzzing, no demands, just you and the life you've been building. And that's when the fog lifts. You begin to see how much of your life you've lived for others, how many of your goals were borrowed, how little of it belongs to you. Solitude isn't isolation, it's liberation. It gives you the courage to ask, do I even like this life, or was it assigned to me? The freedom to stop pretending, to disappoint people, and survive it. And in that space, clarity arrives, not gently, but like a lightning strike. You start shedding what no longer serves you, not out of anger, but self-respect. You begin saying no, not as rebellion, but as alignment. You start building, not for likes, but for legacy. And the shocker, the ones who belong stay, the ones who don't drift. And the doors you once knocked on, they start opening. Not because you're lucky, but because you finally became you. This isn't just a video, it's a mirror. And what you choose next? That's your answer. Will you click away and go back to the noise? Or will you choose yourself, for real this time? Comment solo below, not for me, but for you, to mark the moment you stopped chasing. Then like, not to be polite, but because something in this struck a chord. And subscribe, not for more content, but to remember, you're not alone in this battle. The world doesn't need more performers. It needs builders, leaders, men who walk in silence and still shake the room. You're one of them. Now prove it.